Hi everyone, welcome back. It's another week, another article that I'm here for you to turn into a podcast so you can listen to it on the way to work. This week we're diving into privacy and I'm very excited, so let's dive in. Who remembers the first time they went online, dialing onto this thing called the World Wide Web? The famous sound of dialing, the fact that you could not use your home phone line at the same time. Crazy times. Who knew back then what this thing would turn into? How it would basically change everything we knew. I definitely did not. I was just a young kid that was fascinated by all that was possible back then. There was no more limit for my curiosity. From gaming with random people online to MSN, forums, illegally downloading software, and later music. What a world. Besides the possibilities and influence of the World Wide Web absolutely exploded, it was also the start of something else. The new oil, the new gold, as someone referred to it, aka data. It was the start of your data profile. It was probably the first time that humans would leave behind a trace of data without even knowing they did. I mean, before that, every data point that could be linked back to you personally would have been something you would willingly, physically fill out with your own name. The amount of times you would leave your name and other data behind also exploded. Little did we know that slowly but surely we were giving away the most valuable thing we had. It all started during this Web 1 era, where the internet looked harmless. You dial in, a page loads, and somewhere a server writes down the time, your IP, and the page name. Google search boxes keep what you asked on file. A small cookie keeps your card alive so you don't have to start over. Helpful, innocent even. It felt like the web was taking notes to be useful, not to remember you. Forums and newsletters added a little more. A username here, an email there. None of us thought those tiny notes could be stitched into a pattern of who we are. Then Web 2 hit and the vibe flipped. Things were taken to a whole nother level. We stopped being anonymous and started bringing ourselves, real names, birthdays, schools, jobs, photos, friends. The internet stopped being a place you visited and moved into your pocket, documenting every move we made. The like button, the famous like button from Facebook, seemed harmless under a post. And then you saw it again on a news site, a shop, your gym's website. Same button, same company, now quietly learning when a page shows up on your screen, even if you never tapped it. Single sign-on. Amazing technology, right? Felt like magic because one login worked everywhere. It also meant more of your activity got tied to one identity. Free apps were the cherry on top. No price tag at download. The bill came due in permissions you clicked through without reading. Location, context, camera, yes, yes, yes. Because the app was fun and your friends were already there. And then the wake-up call happened. Cambridge Analytica. Slowly but surely, we started to learn that whenever an app or service was free, we would give up our privacy in order to use it. The Cambridge Analytica scandal woke up a lot of people, and Facebook went from beloved platform to being absolutely hated by a lot. Cambridge Analytica used a harmless-looking personality quiz on Facebook to scoop up data not just from people who took it, but from their friends too, thanks to the platform's old friends' permissions. That dataset was then passed on to political consulting firms and fed into voter targeting and influence work. Facebook later said that the number of people whose data may have been shared was as high as 87 million. It was very clear all of a sudden. Data collected for one purpose can be reused for another, quietly, at internet speed. When the story broke, the world finally connected the dots between free products and the invisible trade in personal information. The fallout was real. Facebook paid a record $5 billion penalty in the United States and agreed to sweeping privacy controls. The UK regulator ran a multi-year investigation into political data use and forced a rethink of how parties and platforms handle people's information. I remember watching this live from a cafe in Toronto and was flabbergasted by the lack of knowledge from the Congress members on what this thing called Facebook actually does. The question they asked, my mouth dropped open multiple times. A lot of the Congress members were very senior people, completely missing what was happening on the internet and with technology altogether. This is also one of the reasons why AI and the speed of current innovation is so challenging for governments. Simply because they're too slow to grasp and understand it. In 2018, when it felt like the whole world was already actively using Facebook, Instagram, and more, these very influential and important people asked questions that the average 15-year-old with an account couldn't answer. There are two big risks because of this. One, not enough regulation or not the right regulation, and AI will have a negative effect on society. But on the other hand, and this makes it so challenging, too much regulation will halt innovation and stop us from receiving all the possible benefits that AI could potentially bring. Some say the AI EU Act is a great example of too much. You can already tell it's a very challenging and very fine line. Okay, back to data. Because as every article and every podcast, therefore, I like to point out challenges, but not without also giving a solution. That is what this podcast is about. So, did anything change? Not really. Cookie pop-ups. Nobody cares. Everybody clicks. Not because they love tracking, but because they want the page to load. The bright button wins. Manage settings is too much work 99 out of 100 times. We pretend this is consent, but it's definitely not. Terms of service and privacy policies. Two long documents that say, take it or leave it. We scroll, we tap, I agree, we move on. That does not mean we are informed. If the only way to participate in modern life is to accept rules you cannot read, the game is not in our favor. Random apps asking for precise location. Why does a flashlight need GPS? Why does a note-taking app want contacts? Say yes once and it becomes the default forever. Background updates do the rest. You forget about it. The app does not. The pattern is always the same. Ask for more than is needed because one day it might be useful. And while all this is happening, we create more and more data. Health data from watches, sports data from trackers, eye tracking in headsets, Face ID to unlock phones and pay for things, voice prints, driving behavior in connected cars, your TV, your fridge, your doorbell. None of this is theoretical. It is the daily exhaust of normal life. Each new surface makes the map of you sharper. That is the current state. Consent as a pop-up, rules nobody reads, permissions that overreach, an ever-growing pile of sensitive signals tied back to the same person, aka you. This will probably only get worse, so what can we do to improve? Privacy technology is important, although technology alone is not enough. More on that later. But I am not saying that zero-knowledge technology is a silver bullet, or the one piece of innovation that will solve all of the above. Definitely not. It is still great technology and should be implemented more and more. So, without further ado, introducing zero-knowledge proof technology. Zero knowledge lets you prove a fact without showing the data behind it. Think, yes, this is true, without handing over a file. The other side gets certainty. The easiest example to explain it that I've heard is as follows. Let's say you want to get into a bar. The bouncer needs to know you are over 18. Currently, you hand over your passport, your ID to the bouncer, which contains a lot of other very personal information, besides the only thing that he needs, and that is your birthday. So why do we do that? Why does he need to see all of that? With zero-knowledge proof, you would walk up with a digital card in your wallet that was issued by a trusted party. Your phone creates a tiny cryptographic proof that says age is over 18 and nothing else. The bouncer's scanner checks the proof in a split second. If it is valid, the light goes green, no birthday shown. No photocopied, no new database of your night out. That is the whole idea. Prove the one fact that matters and keep the rest to yourself. Same door, same rule, less exposure. Same pattern works anywhere. You need to prove one thing without handing over everything. So if we dive in a bit more into the technical, how this works. Zero-knowledge proofs are a protocol between two roles. One, the prover, the person or system that knows a secret, also called the witness, and the verifier, the party that needs confidence the statement is true. Then there is the statement, the claim being proved. For example, this date of birth implies over 18. And the proof itself, a short, checkable string that convinces the verifier without revealing the witness. 3 core properties keep the system honest. 1. Completeness. If statement is true and you build the proof correctly, the verifier will accept it. 2nd, soundness. If the statement is false, faking a passing proof is essentially impossible. And then last but not least, zero knowledge. The verifier learns nothing beyond true or false. Again, over 18 or under 18. How it works under the hood at a high level. 1. You turn the check you want to run into a set of constraints, like a digital puzzle. For example, take the hidden birthday, compute the age, compare to 18, and then you get a result. 2. You commit to your secret using math one-way functions, often with hashes or special commitments. Think sealed envelopes with a tamper proof of seal. And then 3. You generate a proof that the hidden data satisfies the constraints, aka the earlier example, take the hidden birth date, compute the age, compare to 18. Is it over 18 or under 18? If it's over, it's true. If it's under, it's false. The verifier checks a proof using public information. No access to your secrets is required. So why are ZK proofs needed? This might seem like a small thing, this technology, but it could help a lot with preventing things like identity theft, which actually happens to me. I'll explain that later. Today we still upload passports to open accounts, move money, verify identity, banks, fintechs, exchanges, or pay later companies. Those documents do not live in a vault. They live in vendor clouds, backups, test environments, and log files. Security is strong in these companies, but not perfect. Look at Australian telecom company Optus, who leaked data for almost 10 million people, including passports and driver's license numbers. Government ministers called it one of the country's worst breaches ever. People had to replace documents, lock credit, deal with fallouts they never asked for. Or what about United Health's Change Healthcare breach in 2024? A ransomware attack knocked out claims processing and, more importantly, opened the door to a massive data leak. United Health and federal regulators now put the impact around 192.7 million people, making it the largest healthcare data breach in US history. Names, insurance IDs, diagnosis, treatment details, social security numbers, all out there. Marriott Starwood's database is another crazy one. The 2019 breach exposed 339 million records worldwide and included 5.25 million unencrypted passport numbers. Zoom out and you see why this hurts. Identity theft is not a niche problem. The FTC logged more than 1.1 million identity theft reports in 2024. With overall fraud losses climbing to over $12.5 billion. And yes, it is unnecessary exposure. Most of those flaws only needed a single fact. Are you you? Are you old enough? Are you allowed to transact in this market? We handed over entire passports to answer a yes or no, and the copies sat on servers that never forgot. It actually happened to me personally. Years ago, I noticed that my health insurance was taking money from my bank account, and I had no idea why. When I logged into my insurance portal, I saw a bunch of invoices from a psychologist in Brabant somewhere. I lived in Amsterdam at that time. When I started calling the insurance company and the investigation started, they figured out someone was using my citizen service number to create these invoices. Luckily, I could prove that it wasn't me and I received the money back. But what a hassle it was. Preventing all this identity theft because of safer technology will already help a lot of people. But there's more. Possible use cases for ZK tech. 1. Ticket drops without bots or phone numbers. Your favorite artist opens up a pre-sale. Right now, it is phone numbers, captchas, and still a swarm of bots. With ZK, you show 2 sleeves at checkout. Human ones and member of this fan club. The queue lets you in. No database of phone numbers, no face scans, fewer bots, everybody happy. 2. Renting without the paperwork parade. A rental agency wants pay slips, bank statements, sometimes even tax returns. You prove income above X and no sanctions flags. And stop there. Landlord gets what they need to say yes, your full financial life stays off their servers. 3. Kids save social without birth dates on file. A teen wants a social media account. Today, the platform nudges for a birth date and quietly keeps it forever. With ZK, the app only learns under 16 or over 18 and flips the right defaults automatically. Privacy by default for kids, no stored date of birth for anyone. 4. Health perks without leaking your life. Your insurer runs a STAPS challenge, let's say. Right now, they want raw health data or third-party app data from your phone. With ZK, your phone proves just what it needs to. Weekly steps over 70K, for example, and nothing else. You get the perk, they never see when, where, or how you did the things you did. So, some closing thoughts. We've been handing over whole files, passports, all this information to answer simple yes or no questions. That made sense in the paper world, but in software, it is an unnecessary risk. Zero knowledge let us keep the outcome and drop the exposure. But ZK is great technology, but does not solve it all. What I miss a lot of times is that people complain about privacy and how bad Meta, Facebook, Instagram is, but don't make different personal choices. They are not ready to make sacrifices, maybe paying €1 or €2 a month for a social media platform so they don't have to sell your data, or using a private decentralized version of ChatGPT instead of flocking to OpenAI. I personally am very aware of all this data that I give to big tech. I deliberately make decisions for and against sharing. I think that's a start. I'm not saying we have to stop using all social, all AI tools, but at least being aware of what you want to and not want to share is a great start. So that was it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll see you next week as well. Don't forget, like and subscribe, follow, leave us a review where you can, and let's share this technology with the world. Thank you a lot.